Why flat earthers scare me?
On the face of it, flat earth beliefs are completely bizarre. Most flat earthers think that the earth is a disk with a north pole in the middle and the south pole is a wall on the outside that keeps the water from escaping. They can't really agree on where the continents are or how many there are or whether the south pole...
Nobody knows. I mean, it's impossible. How can you know how many continents there are? It's impossible.
Extends
How would you know?
all the way to infinity, so it's a flat earth multiverse theory, basically.
Yeah.
Part of the reason people believe in this is just a lack
I love how, like, this is the explanation for why the earth is actually flat. As if, like, if you did this with a frisbee and not a basketball, it would also look fucking stupid. So how is it that, like, this is the evidence that you have? We superglued some stick figures onto a basketball and spun it around?
Basic science education. Some of them think that if the Earth was a globe, then water just run off on the South Pole.
It would fall off down at the bottom.
I wonder what.
Yep.
They also misunderstand how perspective
Round earthers. To be fair, it's impressive that this is a phrase. It's a proper noun. Wow.
works, how trigonometry works, how cameras work, and on it goes.
You cannot bring up technology and science to disprove flat Earth. You can't do that because they didn't get there with science. You think that somebody believes flat Earth because they know about science? No, they believe flat Earth because they don't know about science. That's the whole reason why they're thinking it. So you can't be like, oh, well, science says this. Well, if science says anything, then this person wouldn't be having this conversation to begin with. You can't reason a person out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. And that's where flat Earth is at. This is not a reasoned position.
It's not just a matter of misunderstanding. If you believe that the Earth is flat, you also have to believe in a global conspiracy
that's
hiding the truth for no particular reason.
That's right.
For starters, you must believe that most of physics is wrong.
It's fake.
And physicists are just making things up.
It's fake.
We're all part of a big geophysicists, they're also in on it.
Fake.
Astrophysicists,
yeah, it's fake, obviously, because like science was a mistake to put it in the eyes of the average person. Like an average human being is supposed to eat potatoes raw and die at 32 from a toothache. Like, we were never supposed to get this. This was never supposed to happen. This was never fucking supposed to happen. And we're having some problems.
Everyone who's ever been involved in launching a rocket into space or putting a satellite into orbit is part of that conspiracy too. Moon landings didn't happen. The ISS, not in orbit. Every single photo that's ever been taken of Earth from space,
Photoshop.
Fake. Sounds pretty crazy, doesn't it? But then...
It doesn't sound crazy if you're stupid. And that's what these people don't understand. Is that if you understand people, you understand flat Earth. People are just stupid. It's that simple. Why did somebody do something? Because they're stupid. That's the reason. That's the only reason.
People also believe that an omniscient being keeps track of who they have sex with. A recent representative poll in North America found that 5% think the Earth is flat and another 6%...
Well, here's the thing, though, with Jesus, right? It's so, like, Jesus was, like, the son of God, and, like, his mom, like, was, like, impregnated by God, but she had a husband, too, but, like, it's not his kid, and, like, then they crucified him, and then he comes back, and he's like, I'm actually Jesus, and, like, all this shit happens, right? But this is, like, such a long time ago. Like, you can't just go back and be like, yo, by the way, it didn't happen. Right? Because, like, it's hard to disprove that. You can't debunk that as easy as you can with something with flat Earth. I mean, bro, people were figuring out the Earth was round probably before we even had wheels. I don't know about it was ancient Greece. People fucking knew this. So it's like the difference is like you can believe in Jesus because you can't immediately disprove Jesus. You can't disprove Jesus immediately by experimentation and testing and multiple levels of references and proof, right? Like, what's the evidence that Jesus was the Son of God? Well, I mean, there it is. That's the reason. Evidence is you read the Bible, right? But there's not like, for example, you can't talk about physics to explain that. You can't go and measure shadows to explain that. Like, you can't immediately go and prove that Jesus was the Son of God without using self-referential logic, right? Where it's like he is because he says he is, or circular logic, excuse me. And the Bible says he is, and it's why does the Bible say that? Because he is, right? But with the flat earth, it's so much worse than a religion because you can easily disprove it. You can disprove it in seconds, but they believe it anyway.
Aren't quite sure. I'm not quite sure how many people lie in these polls, but there's no doubt that interest in flat earth ideas has spiked in the past decade, as you can see in the Google search trends.
It's going to keep getting worse, by the way.
In 2009, the International Flat Earth Society set up a website. In 2013, part of its members set up a wiki and discussion forum. Around 2015, the topic started to appear on YouTube and spread from here. In 2017, the first Flat Earth conference took place, which attracted a lot of media attention.
I want to make one thing clear, though, is that I bet the majority of this traffic are people talking about it being stupid. Right? So we're thinking about, for example, the Flat Earth Conference where, Andrew from like Channel 5 was like interviewing people, right? So it's like this goes up. Like, for example, like I bet Hitler goes up around in April, right? Like searches for Hitler go up. Why is that? Because that's the year, or sorry, the month he was born in, right? And so, like, searches for a lot of things are going to go up, not necessarily because more people support them, but just simply because more people are talking about them or looking at them. Like, a conversation about something does not necessarily mean that this is support of it. So I want to make sure that you cannot control for critical discussion inside of an evaluation of a graph like this.
YouTube made big changes to its recommendation algorithm and interest tapered somewhat off after that. But rather than just fading away, in recent years, interest in flat Earth has been on the rise again.
It is, and the reason why is because a lot of people that believe in conspiracies, it's like trying to take a toy away from a dog. If a dog's like biting a toy, you can't take the conspiracy away from them. You have to wait for them to let go of it on their own. And the more that you try to take it away from them, the more people will believe it. I think obviously flat Earth is a good example, but another one is COVID. One of the reasons why people are so distrusting of the media and of the government is because they weren't able to criticize the ways that COVID was being approached, right? You were not able to challenge the narrative of COVID on public platforms, right? It's like it was considered misinformation and you were banned. So a lot of people believe, and I know this is true even in Twitch chat, how many people have you heard, well, they banned me. Why'd they ban you? For telling the truth. You know, it's like I think it was Voltaire who said that, if you want to find out, who rules over you, figure out who you can't criticize. And I think that that's another good example of this, right? Is like people generally believe that if they're being censored, it means they're right.
Probably to no small part because of TikTok, which has now become a haven for flat earthers. Scientists don't take flat earthers seriously, and I can see
That's a Brandlet quote. Oh, no, I think the quote is stupid too. But, like you're not supposed to make fun of kids with cancer, right? Are they ruling the world? No. But like I'm just saying as in a general thing, this is the way that people think.
Coming from, but I think it's a mistake. To me, flat earthers are the first symptom of a much take. To me, flat earthers are the first symptom.
Can you believe somebody right there? You know where they learn about science? Looney Tunes, man. They're watching Looney Tunes and they're like, damn, I think I know how the Earth happened. I think I know where the dinosaurs went. Oh my God.
But I think it's a mistake.
What?
To me, flat earthers are the first symptom of a much bigger problem. They show us what happens when people realize they can't understand modern science, don't trust scientists, and therefore throw out even the most basic scientific knowledge on the rationale of skepticism. Flat earthers are somewhat extreme.
I would not say the rationale of skepticism, because rationale is derivative of rational. I would say they just don't believe it.
They're actually throwing out evidence that they could test themselves if they weren't so bad at science. But the underlying problem is much deeper.
Oh, is this
because
what
in
happens?
most of modern science, the average person can't test evidence for themselves. This is why...
But the funny thing about that is, in fact, I forgot who the fuck it was. But it was some Greek with a name that's long, that's weird, like it was not Aristotle, but it was something that sounded like that. He just set up some sticks and he figured it out. Archimedes? No, it wasn't. Aristophanes? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, A or E. Yeah, exactly. So he just set up some sticks and he figured this out. So the funny thing about this is that this is actually one of the only ones that people probably could figure out. But they just don't.
I think it makes sense to identify the origin of this problem. And some scientists have actually studied this. They found that the scientific literacy of flat earthers tends to be well below population average. And at the
I would have... Wait, are you telling me that flat earthers on average are not they don't know what science is? No, bro. Like, say it ain't true. Oh my God.
same time, they're much more confident of their scientific
they
knowledge
are.
than the average person.
course.
On top of this, we then get echo chambers in social media that reinforce their misjudgment. The trouble is that these two issues, lack of knowledge and an inability to recognize this lack of knowledge, are bound to become increasingly widespread, simply because, unfortunately, scientific knowledge isn't heritable. We're born without knowing anything of modern science. We have to learn everything, and the more sophisticated science becomes, the more learning that requires.
No, you don't need to know a lot about science to understand that the Earth is round. I mean, you really don't. I mean, I understand what she's saying. She's saying that, like, the compounding expectations of, intelligence, you really don't need to know a lot of this shit. You don't really need to know you don't need to know the periodic table. You don't need to know any of this. Like, I mean, now, it's not that it wouldn't be useful at all in any circumstance. It's just that in an average person's life, it's not really going to come into relevance in terms of a functional way. And here's the reason, here's really the reason, right? Is that you will not remember information that you don't use. So unless somebody is using this information regularly, they're not going to remember it. They're just going to forget. Like, how many of you guys probably you go to school and you forget your locker code over, summer break or over Christmas break, something like that? Yeah, for sure. You forget shit that you don't use. I mean, yeah, but it's basic as fuck. People don't know the periodic table. I bet probably less than 1% of people could name more than 20 elements on the periodic table. Less than 1% of adults in America could name more than 30 elements on a periodic table.
Time in the middle of the 20th century or so, we reached a point where modern science...
See, y'all don't know how retarded people are. Like, see, you've never been... Oh, man, you guys got no idea. You got no idea.
Just stopped being comprehensible to anyone without a special degree, and this is still the case. I don't really understand how CRISPR works. I've no idea what Teichmuller theory is. I don't know how phones work, and I yet have to figure out how to properly fertilize our lawn. There's just too much knowledge in the world to learn it all, and unfortunately no one has yet developed a pill for quantum mechanics. But you don't actually need to learn any physics to see that the Earth isn't flat. Even leaving aside that it requires you to believe in this huge conspiracy, flat Earth ideas have a much bigger problem. It's that you can't do anything with them. You can't use them to do as much as predict.
You can do a lot of things with flat Earth theory. You can make everybody think that you're stupid. It's simple. Yeah, you can do a lot. And you can make YouTube content for people. I feel like, yeah, bro, like there's a lot you can do with it. Man, if you're really retarded, you can just master it. Yeah, Newton says this apple fell on me. It's got to be gravity. My work doesn't require me to be smart, but if it does, I can easily learn it. Yeah, people are not going to learn things that they don't want to use or they're not going to use. Most people, like, you think about it, right? How old is modern science? Like, what, 500 years? Something like that? Let's say 500 years. How old are people? People are like millions of years old, right? The current version, the current patch, like I'd say it's like 4 million years, something like that. And so 12,000, yeah, let's say it's 100,000. And 300K? Maybe I'm a bit off. Let's say 200K. So 200K, 500 years. Like, you think about how small of a fraction that is of the time. You're thinking about, like, fucking nobody like, people's brains haven't evolved to be able to pick this stuff up. You can't imagine that people can understand stuff like this, because everybody always acts like people are anything. People like to act like a person is more than a monkey, and it's a little bit more, but not that much more, right? And so you have plenty of people that behave like gorillas. They act like gorillas all the time. So, and they even do the same thing with each other, right? They even act like, well, they walk around like, well, they do this shit all the time. And so what's really the surprise? What's really the problem with this, right? It's going to happen a lot. We're progressing as a species to our apex of decent soon. The earliest humanity barely had any written language, only 5,500 years ago. Yeah. How do you personally know it's round without someone telling you? Well, someone told me, and I, like, how do I know that it's round? Because everything and the way that it's been explained to me makes sense. That's the way. Yeah, you like, and also, by the way, if you took a flat earther up in a spaceship and you said, look down, there it is. You see, it's round. You're full of shit. He'd be like, bro, I want to get off this ride. Like, I know we're in, like, a Disney theme park right now. Like, I know we haven't left Earth. Like, you don't need to fool me. Like, I can see through this. You can show people, no. It would say, take me to their side. If you do, they just say it's fake. Because you can never prove somebody wrong who doesn't want to be wrong.
Sunset and sunrise, let alone tides or solar eclipses or the paths of planets. You can't calculate airplane routes or understand satellite navigation. Even if you know nothing about how scientists do calculate these things, it isn't hard to convince yourself that someone, somehow, did manage to actually calculate when the sun will rise and when solar eclipses will occur. Yeah. And those were not the people who believe that the Earth is flat.
It's like, yeah, people always act like, oh, the Mayans, like they had aliens helping them. Bro, how many of you guys have had, you've had your internet go out for like 2 hours and you accomplish more in those 2 hours than you would accomplish in the next 6 months? Because like now you can't jerk off, like you can't do anything. You actually have to go do something, right? Like you immediately are productive. So like they never had internet. They had nothing else to fucking do. So yeah, they figured it out. It's not a big surprise.
Why do flat earthers not realize this? I suspect what's going on is that they don't have the faintest clue how modern science works. They might actually believe that drawing a rotating blob on a disk in Blender is the state of the art in physics. Yeah. So what are we to do? There'll always be people who distrust scientists, and that might not even
You have to remove these people from the voting pool somehow. That's the real problem. Like, it was never really a big issue that people believe this stuff because they're like peasants that think that spirits exist in trees. But, like, nobody really gave a shit because it's like, oh, well, that's just, you know, a peon, and so who cares? But now this person's voting, and they're making decisions for other people, and it's scary. So is the problem really that they're thinking this, or is the problem that they're voting? The problem, in my opinion, is that they're voting. Because you can't solve people being stupid. That's the way I see it. You can't solve that. Like, people are going to be stupid no matter what. Middle school math test for voting? I feel like if you can't do middle school math, I don't want you to vote. Like, if you couldn't graduate high school or you don't have a GED, I don't want you to vote. Straight up. Like, I know that sounds elitist, And I want to say that that's completely the point. That is absolutely the point. Most people are, not most people, but some people are so stupid that they should not even be responsible for themselves. That's easy to graduate? Yeah, it's like if you can't graduate high school or something equivalent to that, 99% of the time, you are not the kind of person that should be making decisions for anybody else. That's it.
A bad thing, but I think it's a mistake to ignore flat earthers. And I do have some sympathy for them. I really do. They're trying to figure out how nature works. And that's a
No,
good...
they're not. They're not trying to figure out how nature works, because the thing is that if they're trying to, you have to understand, flat Earth does not come from a place of learning. It comes from an oppositional perspective of the status quo and the establishment. Flat earthers don't care whether the Earth is flat, fundamentally. The Earth is flat is just simply a point of reference to explain that the government and the elites and science and society is a manufactured lie that's created to oppress them. That's what they really believe, and flat Earth is just simply a vehicle to express that belief. So even if you disproved flat Earth to this person, this wouldn't actually change how they think. Because flat Earth, it's like basically, it's a mining canary, right? It's a mining canary. It indicates something that's a lot worse deeper down. And you got to ask yourself, why is it that people have that much distrust? Why is it that people don't understand this shit? It's a huge web of conspiracy theories? Exactly, yeah. It's a conspiracy theory, and the Earth being flat and the science of the Earth being flat, this is going to sound stupid, doesn't matter. What matters is that this is a global conspiracy that's being pushed worldwide, which indicates that there is a worldwide conspiracy to suppress knowledge from the public. That's the actual conversation. This is just bullshit. And it's always ended with some of the Jews did it? Absolutely. Yeah, and so that's the real reason. Why is flat Earth so popular if it's bullshit? Simple. Because a lot of people don't trust established places of authority. That's the real reason. I bet that if you did a correlation between people who don't trust authority and people who believe in flat Earth, you would have nearly a perfect correlation. Because flat Earth is merely a symptom for the problem and not the disease.
We should just encourage them to get better at it. And then maybe one day they'll figure out that it's actually much easier to explain their observations if they stop believing that the Earth is flat. Another reason I think we should take flat earthers seriously is that a lack of science education is more of a societal failure than a personal one. Luckily, there's an easy way to grow your scientific background knowledge, which is on brilliant.org.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think that you can do that. I think that the bottom 10 or 20% of people, in terms of critical thinking intelligence, will never be able to fully accept that the Earth is round because they're stupid. There are a lot of people that have, everybody has a different level cap for different things. Like, for example, my level cap for playing FPS is quite low. Other people's level cap for being intelligent is also quite low. You're never going to teach a dog to do chess. It's not going to happen. Making it the goal that everybody understands and believes in science is a waste of time, and it will never happen. Not anytime soon, not without some type of technological advancement of intelligence. People fundamentally are stupid. They are only slightly above monkeys, and the bottom 10% are so stupid that it's unsalvageable. It's completely unsalvageable. There's nothing that you can do to bring them back. Can't do anything.
I really like Brilliant's courses because they get to the point very quickly and help me to remember the key facts. All of Brilliant's courses come with interactive visualizations and follow-up questions. This gives you a feeling for what's going on, and it also lets you check whether you understood it right away. I even have my own course on Brilliant. It's a beginner's course
I'm sure
for quantum physics.
This will convince
it
the flat
explains
earthers.
what the wave function is and what superpositions and entanglement are. It also covers the uncertainty principle and Bell's theorem. And afterwards, you can continue learning more about your favorite topics in science, computer science, or maths.
Yeah,
Whether
they're
that's
gonna
special
take this
relativity or quantum computing, Brilliant has you covered. If you use our link brilliant.org/Sabine, you'll get to try out everything on Brilliant for 30 days for free, and you'll get 20% off the annual premium subscription. So go and check this out. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
So, again, I think that the way that scientists, and this is the problem, right, is that scientists and people that are scientifically minded have a approach that is scientific to dealing with flat earthers. And they don't understand the real reason why flat earthers exist. Flat earthers exist as a metaphor to a larger problem, which is a distrust of established authority. Flat earth is just an element of it. Every single flat earther probably believes 10 or 15 other stupid conspiracies. That's what I think. And I think, again, if you, and by the way, how many of you guys have noticed that a lot of people that are really into conspiracies, on average, are more religious? Have you guys ever noticed that? This is a good video. I'll link it to you guys. Yes. You know why? Because they're predisposed to believe bullshit with no evidence. Or partial evidence. That's the reason. Everybody knows it. That's the reason. So it's like basically, right? Well, if you're going to believe that bullshit, I got something else for you. And there it is. That's an awful take. Why? Let's find out why. Why is it an awful take? Let's go. Let's figure it out. You shouldn't trust most science since it's mainly theory, but all scientific law should be learned, followed, and understood. Scientific law. I mean, and wonder, well, what is the law? Like gravity? Because gravity, where does gravity come from? It comes from mass. Where does mass come from? The planet. How does the planet how does the planet create gravity? Through its size. What is its size? It's round. Think about it, right? It's, just use a little bit of logic here. So do we have a single... I'll give him like one more minute, then we're going to move on, because we got so much else that we got to do today. I don't want to waste... Oh, he finally typed something. Jesus can be proven, and he died and came back. There's over 500 testimonies proving that he came back over 40 days. There's over 500 testimonies from like what? Like somebody said that somebody said that somebody said that they heard somebody say. And how about everything else? How about Moses talking to a burning bush? You think that happened? How about Jonah living in a fish? You think that happened? How about Muhammad flying around the world on a horse? You think that happened? Come on. Joseph Smith translating the tablets out of a hat. Did that happen? Come on. Get the fuck out of here. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's obviously bullshit. It's complete bullshit. Like, what are we even talking about here? It's not even a question. It's not even. What are we even indulging this for 3 seconds for? The people that saw him? No, it's not people that saw him. For sure. So that's not it. You would think some ancestors, these people still have treasures passed down today, or family members alive? Exactly. Nah, bro. Like bro, you believe? Hey, you want to believe in religion? That's fine. That's fine. You can believe whatever you want, but you're not going to tell me that there is not a correlation there. You are not going to. I'll tell you for a fucking fact there's a correlation, and I think that it's really strong. It's a super strong correlation. It is so easy to finesse people, and it's, again, how do you take advantage of a stupid person? Sell them hope. Sell them hope and the idea that they're smart. And if you do that, they'll give you all their money because they're stupid. What do I believe? I believe that I am a monkey, and the mysteries of the universe are mysteries. And I don't think that the human brain has the capacity to understand the implications of that. I don't think, basically, I think that in order to understand the universe, you have to have, I'm just talking theoreticals, right? An IQ of 6,000 And people have between an IQ of like 80 and 250. But you need 6,000 to understand the universe. That's the way I see it. I don't think that I have any idea. I don't think anybody else has any idea. I think that there has never been a historically, or there's never been a point in time or a person who has been able to intentionally pierce the veil of reality at any point in time in any way. Like, and it's very easy for like in any capacity, not even remotely close. Like, for example, if I said there's never been a point in time where an ant was able to do multiplication, you would all agree with me, right? We'd all agree. There's never been a point in time where a cat wrote a book. You probably would agree with me, right? So with this, it's the same thing. It's just a different scale. It's clearly never done psychedelics. Yeah, exactly, right? And so that's what I think. That's my flat earth. That's my take, my opinion on flat earth.